What's going on, everybody in YouTube? Let's get to the crux of this conversation right here. But before we do that, you know, smash that like button. You know what I mean? Share the video. Tell a friend about the Crypto Wonders channel on YouTube, man. Tell them it's fire. That you need to add that to your arsenal of all kinds of subscriptions. That I stand out here. This is the nonsense that I'm talking about, people. This is the nonsense that I'm talking about. This is the nonsense that I'm talking about. A man who led Black Lives Matter protests, arrested on child pornography charges, held without bail. What do you suckers out here have to say about this, man? What do you suckers out here have to say about this? What do you have to say? Chris DeVries, 37, of Jackson, New Hampshire, who led the Black Lives Matter protests in New Hampshire last month, has been indicted on child pornography charges. According to the Washington Examiner, DeVries led a protest back on June 21st called Skate Away the Hate, which encouraged participants to ride skateboards down a local highway to show support for Black Lives Matter, Black Lives Movement. In a statement to the Conway Daily Sun, DeVries said, "If we divest funds from the police and prison systems, we can all benefit. Those funds can go to local communities and social services," end quote. At the protest, DeVries spoke through a bullhorn and listed off a number of demands that came from local chapters of Black Lives Matter. There's a tweet here that says, defund police protest leader arrested for child porn. Chris DeVries, 37, had 60 child sex images on his cell phone, charged with 6 counts. According to Jackson Police Chief Chris Purley, DeVries has been charged with 6 counts of possessing child sexual abuse images, 1 count of possession of psilocybin mushrooms, and 1 count of falsifying physical evidence. Wow. Purley told the Sun on Monday, "I can't commit on this case. I can't comment on this case specifically or Mr. DeVries, as he is a charged criminal defendant pending adjudication and presumed innocent until proven guilty." He added, "But I can say that generally speaking, people should be very cautious about listening to voices suggesting defunding the police because their motives are not always in the best interest of society," end quote. Allegedly, the falsifying physical evidence complaint says that DeVries threw his cell phone from the porch when law enforcement arrived. The child abuse images showed underage girls in either, quote, lewd exposition of private parts or engaging in sexual activity. Police said a forensic examiner with the Internet Crimes Against Children found more than 60 images of child sexual abuse. Do I want to keep reading this? No, I'll leave a link in the description if you want to, peruse through it. I'll leave a link in the description of the article. No, let me keep reading. According to the authorities, all complaints against DeVries were signed by Carroll County Attorney Michael Andruzzi on Monday. After his arrest, DeVries entered a not guilty plea at a hearing that was held remotely. Currently, he is being held without bail. Yo, this makes me sick, man. I can't even finish reading this article. This makes me sick. This is deplorable, disgusting, unconscionable, incorrigible. Yo, listen, man. This is what I'm talking about. Like the hypocrisy that just it's just festering throughout everything that's going on right now, right? The contradiction, the hypocrisy. Everybody who's pro Black Lives Matter, explain this. Explain this. Explain this. You guys that are painting Black Lives Matter on the streets throughout the country. Explain this. Explain this. And you know why this really just bothers the living crap out of me is because these are criminal acts against children, man. Like this right here, if there's one thing that I just personally cannot stand, is crimes that are done against kids. crimes that are done against kids, I don't care what walk of life, you're on. There's just no excuse for it. Some people say there's psychological, some type of sickness, mentally impaired, blase. I don't care. I don't care about any of that. That's just disgusting to me. You're talking about the vulnerable, extremely vulnerable. They can't fend for themselves. They can't fend for themselves. But you want to hide your dastardly, wicked, evil deeds behind some Black Lives Matter cause? Really? I don't support police brutality. I don't support police killing black people for the sake of killing black people. I don't support any of that. But to defund the police altogether, like do you think crime won't exist if the police are abolished? Let's say you defund, you get rid of the police altogether. Do you think crime will stop? Who will deal with the crimes? A teacher? Who? A counselor? You're talking about funding local community organizations and social services. A domestic violence therapist? Who's gonna chase the robbers, the killers, the rapists? A tutor? A nurse? The freaking janitor? Who's gonna do it? The vice president of a nonprofit organization? The assistant director of a substance abuse program? Who's going to do it? Who's gonna put people like this joker right here? You think he's the only one? No, there are plenty. This one just got caught. He got caught. There are plenty out here who doing all kinds of nasty shit that you wouldn't want to believe, that people don't want to even think is reality. But you know what? It is. It's part of life. Life is messy, people. Life is messy. It's beautiful and it's also messy. Never forget that. At the same time, while you're sitting down and you're smiling and you're fortunate enough to experience some type of joy today, there are many who are experiencing pain, trauma, as we exist, coexisting. And many of them are children. But y'all talking about defund the police. And look who's talking about it. Look who's leading the protest. Look who led the protest on June 21st. Look who you have doing it. You can't even make that make sense. How can you make that make sense? Too many people are just sitting quiet. Too many people are just like waiting to see if they could, wake up from a bad dream, from this nightmare that's taking place here. It's not a nightmare. It's not. It's happening in high definition, real time, right now. Right now. You know why people are afraid of this Ghislaine Maxwell. Look her up if you haven't. But you know why they're afraid of her? Because of the shit she's done, excuse my language, but it is what it is. And the shit she has on the people she knows who's done whatever they've done by way of child sex crimes, pedophilia, people. But y'all talking about defund the police.